obvious question. I mean, with Mel out in the longer part of the program, he being a defensive guy, I guess what was that like for you guys as a defensive staff to try to make that adjustment on the fly this season?
He do a good job bouncing around anyway. You know what I mean? And with the addition of Jimmy Salgado, he was in the room less and less. So it was okay. It didn't change us too much. We had to change some things around when Harlan stepped away to be some head coach duties and stuff like that. But he's in meetings as much as he can be and still doing some safety stuff. So we're happy to have him in there as much as we can.
As you mentioned Salgado, what's it been like working with him? And as a guy, he also has DC experience, like a lot of you guys on that side. Just what's that collaboration been like and working together?
Oh, it's been great all year. The room is outstanding. Between him and Dyron, the two additions that we made, it's great in that room. You go in there and you can bounce ideas off each other, and just the backgrounds are all the same. Which is cool because we've all been in the same system. So like you might have had a fix somewhere one time along the line when you're playing a team, that maybe does something a little different that you might say, hey, here's how our fix was, and here's how. So it's cool because it's like a clinic whenever you see a new issue, show up, and you got different ideas to bounce off of different guys. So it's pretty cool.
With I guess after the Washington game, Maryland, the last two games, I guess what do you think of how you guys played defensively? I mean, obviously put in tough spots against Maryland, and then 200 whatever yards Iowa had.
Yeah, I think the guys, as always, they play hard, and even if you go back to the Washington, I think the guys were playing hard and doing the right thing and were contesting balls. They're a really good team too now. You can give them credit for, they got a good ass quarterback and some good receivers running around there. So you put those together. Yes, would we like to play a little bit better there? Sure. But even the last couple games, there's some spots or whatever you say as you go through. But you like to be challenged like that. Be put in the fire and say, okay, hey, we made it out with that one. Okay, hey, how can we get better at this one? We gave up this penalty. Okay, good. How does that affect? Really teaching them cause and effect and get the guys to continue growing, because if they know that they're working on themselves getting better, then it helps the team, and they can each take a look at those things that they messed up. And I think we're continuing to get better. You know what I mean? You would notice today, enthusiasm on the field was good. They had energy. We had the pads back on for the first time in a while, so that was good to see guys hitting and thudding and wrapping up guys and knocking guys back and enjoying it. It's back to playing football.
With the week off and able to look at some things, what are some adjustments maybe you broached during the bye week?
When we looked at things, we just kind of took each guy really individually and said, listen, hey, how can we clean up our game? And that's really what we spent a lot of time doing last week. Like every guy is different in their own way, and schematically, things don't change much. You know what I mean? Now, how we do things and when we do those things, that's something that we look at and say, okay, hey, how can we get better in this area? What does this guy need to do? And really last week was a lot of individual, a lot of getting back to the basics, a lot of things, okay, clean up those little things, and you hope that through those pieces, when you put them back together, they even look better.
It looked like you guys ran more 4-3 at Iowa, maybe than before, but like from a schematic standpoint, I mean, does anything change over the last few weeks in that, or is it just matchup based of how and when you're going to do things?
For sure, it's match. I mean, when you play Iowa, they got two tight ends in there or two backs, and those are things, or sometimes both, two backs and two tight ends. So you're going to play 4-3, and that's kind of what we've done all year. Depending on their personnel, we match theirs, and the scheme is similar. I mean, no matter what personnel you're in, it's just different pieces doing different things because. You don't really like a nickel being, the edge guy and having to take on fullbacks and stuff like that. It's not his role. His role is to be more on receivers and do those kind of things. So yeah, it goes back and forth and ebbs and flows as they do.
Does the addition of Darius and the subtraction of Jacoby and that change some of that as well?
Well, it kind of left us pretty status quo. You know what I mean? We thought, hey, we got a good base package, and bring those guys along, and hopefully when one guy goes down, we gain another. Okay, so we can still play those things, and with that, you saw that he, Snow. I mean, he played a lot more last week, and you mix them in when you can, and you say, okay, use the backers you have, and if you need to run them in different ways, you do it in different ways, and when you get to goal line and stuff like that, it hurts you a little bit because it's just a different people, and you just. Try to get as many backers on the field as you can because that's what it is.
With that Jordan and Chance being true freshmen, now being starters, I guess how have they been able to adapt so quickly?
It's been great. They're both good players that You know, that's why they're here. Really, you like all the freshmen that come in and compete like those guys do. You know, and you know, Chance really flashed early, and we were making a push that he might be a starter when we were going through fall camp. You know, and then he got nicked up a little bit, and it took him out of that role. But you know, he's a wonderful blessing to have. I mean, he's a long dude, can run and does things right, you know, and tries and works like crazy. And his learning curve is so great that he got a chance to jump on the field early. You know, Jordan, a little different when he showed up. You know, he was a little bit more mature than Chance physically. You know, you talk about. So when he stepped on the field, it was more about, hey, you got to get this guy up to speed, knowing what to do. And he's proved to be a good resource for us. You know, I mean, he's played a lot of snaps here as a youngster. So those two guys, you know, I think that when you watch them and they're out there, they don't look like freshmen, which is always a benefit. You know, they look like guys who have played a little bit, or at least second or third year guys that, you know, have been in the program for a minute. You know, so it's kind of cool that way. And that's a tribute to, you know, Jimmy working with the corners like crazy. You know what I mean? Guys like Antoine Simmons working with Jordan Hawley, like the guys on the sports that, hey, really taking those guys and spending extra time with them.
Scottie, I can appreciate that you're preparing for Rutgers and the rest of the season, but in the bigger picture, how unsettling is it for an assistant coach, their wives, their families, when there's a coaching change in the middle and nobody knows their future beyond this year?
I think, you know, I mean, in our room, we just all got jobs to do, right? I mean, that's our thing. Our role is really to try to make these guys on our team the best players they can be. And for us to let that down and bring other stuff out, we ask them to block out the noise all the time. You know, whenever people are doing whatever they do outside or social media, well, they block that stuff. That's the same thing we do when we go to work. You know, we really got to show up to work and say, listen, we got to have energy. You know, Coach Barnett brings it every day to the team. So that's our job to make these guys the best. Whatever's going to happen. All that stuff is nothing we can control. So we can just control what we do and show up every day.
Scottie, I think almost every second half we've seen some improvement. Is that something that you're adjusting at halftime, or something that maybe isn't quite the way you want at the beginning of the game?
You know, I think that we can start faster, really. You know, I think that when the guys see this, and you know, sometimes it's, I don't know, we're trying to fix that. You know, I mean, really it's just everybody doing their job, and we make some silly things. You know, we've given up 15-yard drives multiple times in the first half. And when you do that, it just shows like everything else. You know, we say, listen, an explosive play is worth 4 points. Well, when we give a team 15 yards on top of whatever they got, well, that's an explosive play. So that's worth 4 points just as the stats go, 4 points as you go on that drive. So when we do those things and we do silly stuff in the first half, that's really what we're dealing with a lot of times. And you cut those. I mean, are we going to give up a drive? Sure. You're going to give them an explosive. Yeah. But when you do those self-inflicted things, that's really what's been hurting us a lot. I mean, we had I can't even remember what team. I mean, you know, I've slept since then, but I know we had a team backed up, you know, a few weeks ago, and you know, gave them a 15-yarder. But okay, now, and they got 11, so that's 26. So now they're out of the backed up, and then we do the same thing again later. You know, we get a second. Well, those things hurt us, and those are things that are easily fixed with our discipline.
I guess just sort of halfway through, Scottie, like what are things you're happy with? What are the things that you want to see cleaned up in this last stretch, the second half?
You know, you're happy. I'm really happy with the communication and the guys taking it. It's a little bit different attitude this year, even going in. You know what I mean? Like, hey, next man up is really true. You know, I mean, we had guys on the field on Saturday that we were like, hey, come on, let's go play football. You know, and pulling guys up from wherever, because it doesn't really matter. And the team has grit, man. The defense the guys on that side, they're not worried about. They just go out there and want to play football, and that's been great. You know what I mean? I think that, you know, we've been getting off the field at a decent rate. You know, there's some stats and stuff you can look, but really that's the thing, that the core guys that show up every day, you love them to death, and those guys work all the time, and that's great. And now moving forward, you'd say, okay, yes, we'd like to clean. Sure, we'd like to get better so we can win more on first down. Because when we do win on first down, that's how it goes back to the same thing. You win on first down on the first play. Now you put them behind the sticks. Now you've got a chance to get off the field faster. And those are some of the things that we look, okay, how can we get this? How can we get more guys, or whatever we need to do to get, you know, to knock down those things. If they take a shot, they take a shot. They got a first down. Okay, let's win on the next one. Because that's really what happens. And can we do it faster in the game? Can we do it earlier? Can everyone not go out there and be so hyped and try to, I'm going to go make a play? No, just do your job, because the plays are going to come to whoever's they end up running. Okay, good, we did it. Okay, and you can show them those things. So we'd like to get some of that stuff cleaned up so that we can start faster, you know, and play, well, whatever, you know, play second half football in the first half.
How about like pass rush and turnovers? Some other areas we've talked to you about a couple, you know, over
For
the years,
sure.
good and bad type of thing.
For sure. Okay. I mean, taking the ball away is always one thing that's going to help us. You know, and you know, have we been getting enough of those? No. You know, I think that, if you go back a few weeks to the Washington, I mean, that really hurts you. And when you can't hit the quarterback, that's an issue. You know what I mean? I think that the guys have been better, at least getting pressure and hitting people, making guys move in the pocket, which is a big deal, because when you get those guys moving, that's when you get a chance to get takeaways. I mean, here's the thing, like just getting on the jugs machines, one of those things that you say, what do they get better? Well, we just go catch the football. You know what I mean? There's been plenty of opportunities where you'd say, listen, if we got 5 drop picks and then you add those picks to where we're at, you'd say, now everyone's like, hey, that's good, and it's just catch the ones thrown to you, and little things like that. Sure, there's some splits pass that we want to clean up and get to be cleaner, and I think that'll come with it as it goes. I think the guys have been getting pressure, and pressure sometimes is enough to get quarterbacks off the field and at least make them deter their throw or throw some bad balls or whatever the case is there.
The third down defense too. I mean, you guys are second in the country and only giving up 23%. I mean, is that a continuation of what you were just saying, or what is?
A little bit, sure. That's a rush and cover thing working. You know what I mean? The guys being more comfortable and communicating, talking, and saying, hey, listen, if we show this and then we do this and the quarterback thing, it just buys that extra step or whatever. And as long as the quarterback feels it, it's not always a sack. But if it makes him uncomfortable and he's got a deterred throw, well, that's a win, and you're getting off the field. So those are good things.
Kind of with that, I mean, with teams more and more going for it on fourth down, does that make third down defense less relevant maybe, or?
It makes it harder. It makes it harder sometimes because you get those situations that you can't really call one of those defenses you're trying to do. So it goes back to starting off, right? If you start off the series and they're backed up faster, then the chances of them going for it on fourth down are less because they're in their own territory. Now you get to run some of those defense. As they move the ball down the field, now you get in that range where you're like, well, if you're calling this for pass rush and they run, you got issues. Or now you're going to call this run defense, but they're going to throw. Okay, now you got issues, when you get into those weird situations. But that's about, winning back to the beginning, win on the first play, do the job on the first down or the next first down where you're not in that weird area,
A lot of players obviously, commit to a program that they're really committing to the coach. I mean, especially a defensive coach in the case of Mel, how much do you sympathize with the players that have invested, for 3-4 years in this system, and knowing that they could potentially change on it?
Sure, I think that's it's really the normal of life, to tell you the truth, with all college football. I mean, if you're at any place in the world, you signed a contract with the Buffalo Bills and their head coach, leaves or somehow, or takes a different job, or I went to go play, in the league, you find guys that go play for defensive coordinators. Okay, he has a good year and you went to play, and you're in a contract and he leaves and takes a head. Those are ways of the world, and that's just something that happens. It's just like, it's similar to the portal, you know what I mean? I mean, the portal set up where the guys came in and they left. It is what it is, and I think that those guys that had a great relationship, that sucks, you know what I mean? If they came to play for one guy and a different guy is going to go, that sucks, and we're trying to fight through that, you know what I mean? Like we said, the best thing we can do is be us, be us coaches and go in there every day and say, listen, you're going to get better at this today, you're going to get better at this today, you're going to get better at this, and we can go and make them better football players for whatever they choose to do.
Did you see this as a year, though, that you guys are going to turn the corner? I mean,
sure. I mean, it's a great year. Every year you think, hey, this is a year, right? I mean, that's kind of why we do this, right? We brought in a team that we thought, hey, this team's got a real good chance, and things happen, and just like in games, you know what I mean? If you would ask us before the Iowa game, we're going to beat them, we're going to beat every team we play, and things happen during a game and it doesn't work out that way. You say, damn, okay, let's go figure out why, and let's look at ourselves. It's that way. It sucks.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You kind of touched on this before, but the young guys in the secondary, you've got Chuck out, Jaden out, Morgan, Marquis. If there was a true freshman walk-on safety playing in the first half at Iowa, how do you think those guys have done, adjusting to that?
Well, that's what, like next man. It's a different mentality. We leaned on X so much and last year that he would do everything, and I think the guys understood that. And the offseason, we forced guys to speak and to learn and to communicate, and I think that's paying out because it does. You can plug in guys, and guys are going in there and making plays and doing the right thing and getting the right calls out. So that's been really helpful to us, and our communication's been way cleaner back there, and it's good to see. it's an improvement.
Moving deeper into this season, are there any guys, Scotty, you see sort of coming around the corner, like true freshmen, I mean, sort of making that turn to where they could help you as we get
Yeah, I
deeper?
mean, you see a guy like, JT, Jalen. He's a guy, playing defensive end out there. He's got some snaps and some meaningful snaps, and he's coming along. You know what I mean? There's guys like Pape that's coming. I mean, there's some guys that are improving as they go. And we're excited to get some guys back off of injury. I mean, there's some guys coming back from that too. So, I mean, we'll see as it keeps going. We're trying to still groom those guys and get them better every day so that they can get in and say, okay, hey, it kind of like the snow thing. You know what I mean? A guy's going to fall. Okay, we need another guy to step up and play. And luckily at that spot we had a guy, but those things are going to continue to happen as we go. I mean, football's a long season, and guys get nicked up, and that's what you might end up, some young dudes on there that you didn't think would be playing very much, and they get some snaps, and that's why they're there. That's why you coach them.
Anything else for Coach Hazelton? All right,
Thanks, all.
thanks, Coach.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Scotty.
Hey, when you were at NDSU, you didn't play US after.